Everybody, how are you tonight? Well, this one is entitled "Who is OCD Mikey Boy?" I'll give you a little background and let you know who I am because I guess I go by my moniker OCD Hi-Fi Guy. And while very true, I'll give you a little more insight into my background and everything, so you kind of know who I am, and you can judge me from there, I guess. So I'm an industry guy. I've been in hi-fi for the last 15 years, give or take, and I own a company. I own a manufacturer that is called Virastar, and I started in this business because I thought the prices of cables were ridiculous, and I was getting some cables for myself. I was getting back into hi-fi. I've always been an audio kid. Ever since I was a little guy, I had a stereo set when I was a little guy, and I loved to play music when I was little and take my speakers and point them outside the window of my room and crank them just to crank Kiss, just to piss my neighbors off. Just the kind of neighbor you want, right? The little bastard right next to you. But so anyways, I always been into hi-fi. And my brother plays guitar. He's a studio guy, and so we've just been a musical family, I guess. And I got into hi-fi. I was getting a rig again, and I started looking at cables. How much are cables going to cost? I want to get some real good ones. I don't want to use the lamp cord or whatever. And so I started looking into hi-fi cables, and I could see how much. I think AudioQuest was the first one I looked at. Find something. What's the good stuff? And it was like 10 grand for a pair of speaker cables, and I was like, what are you talking about, man? Like, isn't it? It's copper, right? Like, it's not gold wire, right? It's copper wire. Are we talking about the same thing here? And sure enough, I found that hi-fi, or at least the cable. It's pretty much any of the hi-fi. It's much like if you take the fashion industry for instance. It has nothing to do with how much that fabric costs. It has everything to do with what is the vision of the designer. How is that cloth, hanging on the body of the model? What's the form? How does it look? How does it vibe? That kind of stuff. And so there is some other value to it other than just the cost of the materials. And it's the same with hi-fi. You can, if you are a good designer and you make something that looks really cool, take D'Agostino, for instance, $250,000 amplifier, okay? Because he can ride that. He can ride that due to his name. He can make something that looks cool like that with a chassis like that, and there's the story, okay? So it's beautiful stuff, whatever. So there is that so I started out saying I'm just going to make my own cables. I want to make my own cables, and so I looked into it. I started research. What is AudioQuest doing? Like, what makes their stuff different? I saw, well, they have the twist and they have all this geometry. So I'm like, okay, so evidently wire geometry, you can charge more for how you twist the wire, and you can charge more for doubling up the jacket or doing whatever. And so I bought a spool of, I think it was like Carol or something, some kind of like industrial type, wire. And I bought it to do bi wiring. So I bought, it was four conductor, like copper, pure, just straight copper. And I went ahead, I bought a spool of that stuff. I think it was like 150 feet or something. I made myself some pairs of one pair of bi-wire. I plugged it in, put it into my rig, which at the time was, I think, a Denon receiver. And then shortly thereafter, I got a Cinepro amp because I knew a guy who worked there. I used to work together with him, peddling artworks in the streets. Anyways, we were buddies. So I got a Cinepro later, and then I had the preamp. I used the Denon as the preamp, and then the Cinepro, which is it's a big Class AB amp, as my main amp. And then I got, I think, Silverline Audio were some of the first speakers that I got from Alan Yun in San Francisco. And so anyway, so I was off and running. Well, I plugged in those bi-wire, and I was blown away. I could not believe how much difference it made on the speakers. I was like, unbelievable, man. So I was like, this is cool. I was just like, I'm just going to take the rest of the spool that I have. I can't do anything with it. I'm going to make another pair. I'm going to put it on eBay, see what happens. So I put it on eBay. I sold it, and it sold at a profit. And I was like, Well, I'll be damned. It's like that's crazy, man. They just sold, and I made a little profit. That's really cool. So I was the job that I was at the time was just a job, just over broke. It was like it was something I was doing out of necessity. I'm a salesman, and so I was selling leaded glass. I was setting front doors, like doors to your house that had leaded glass. They were beautiful. I mean, really, they were mahogany, handmade, leaded glass, hand laid, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not into home improvements. Like, what do I do? I mean, I like to buy them, I guess, for my place. But anyway, so I was making squat. They told me I'd make a certain amount. I was making like $300 a week, and it was a drag. So I said, that's pretty cool. I put up my second pair of those speaker cables, sold them on eBay. Third pair, and I'm like, okay, I got a rhythm here. I'm gonna keep this up. I need to come up with a name. I need to come up with make them a little prettier, stuff like that. Dress them up. So I did, and the next thing you know, I'm guessing it's probably a month into it, 30 days into just trying this stuff. I'm making more on eBay than I was making at my job. So I'm like, I'm out of here, man. See ya, and I bailed. And the rest is history. Then it was just like fun and games, kind of like oh wow, I'm actually paying my bills on eBay sales. It was kind of crazy. And so my first big step was buying some real wire, like some real silver plated copper stuff and Teflon. I still use it to this day. It's my if I'm going to use round wire, which we don't, but anymore, we just discontinued it. But silver plated copper Teflon insulation, it's like an industry kind of staple for the avionics industry. And so I bought a surplus from Boeing. And it was a lot of wire. It was a ton. It was speaker cable. It was 6 conductor. So I was like, ooh, I'm like, I can be like AudioQuest and have multiple conductors in one thing, and break it down and do a cross section, little illustrated view of it, and man, I'm rolling. And so I had to sell. I didn't have any money to I mean, because I was working at $300 a week, whatever. I sold my two prized possessions to start my company. I had a Ducati Monster, a 900 Monster, and a Triumph Trophy 1200, a touring bike that I would travel on with my bro. We'd go up to the mountains. And my two most expensive things, most prized, coolest things I had, nicest things I had, my motorcycles, And I was like, you know what? I'm going to sell these things because dude, if I do this right, I'll be able to buy another motorcycle. No big deal. So I sold the bikes. I was like, see ya, bye. There goes my bikes. I hate selling my bikes. Every time I sell any of them, it's always a sad thing, but you get over it. So, sold the two bikes, got some coin, went and did a purchase, surplus material, Boeing airline surplus, and it just so happens that avionics wire is killer for hi-fi. It's awesome stuff, man. And it, I mean, in communications in an airplane, you can't have anything mess up, can you? No, you can't. So it's got to be accurate stuff. So it's good. It's built to a very, very good high level. So, that's how I started Virastar. I called it Virastar, after my grandmother Vera, who was just the sweetest thing you'd ever meet in your life, from a Cuban woman, with their little accent, do you want something to drink? It was just like little grandma with their little accent and shit like that. Whoops, stuff like that. And so I just loved her so much that I called it Vera Star, and so because she's like a star. After she died, she's like a star in the sky or whatever. So Vera Star, that's a company. And I picked my colors, and my company motto, what I'm gonna do, and the whole thing was, man, I'm gonna bring a value to hi-fi, because you know what, these guys are it's ludicrous, it's ludicrous. They're just selling to people that don't know any better, I mean, come on, what's up with that? So later on I found that there was something up with the hi-fi cables, and that there were some that if you that were expensive, that were worth it. Not all of them. It's just like any of the hi-fi stuff. There is a contingent of the gear out there that is excellent, and it costs dough, but it's worth the money. You're like, this is worth it, man. There's other stuff that they're skirting on the coattails and trying to just get in there and take advantage of some of the folks. So, anyways, so that was the goal there. And Okay, so started Veristar, had that going, and just did auctions. I existed off auctions. Started to go to Audiogon, and at Audiogon, man, back in the day, it was a different story, Holmes. Man, we could sell, and there was not everybody and their brother making crap like there is now. There was no Etsy. There was no make stuff at your home and sell your own, make your own company. After I luckily it was like good timing because people weren't doing that all over the place. So I got in and I established myself pretty quickly on Audiogon as a good seller and as a stand-up product and all that kind of stuff. And I grew the company little by little. Before long, I just started to change the designs, make them a little bit more proprietary, not so much kind of off the shelf sort of a thing. And there's cables out there that I can point out instantly that you could make. I mean, that like there's nothing proprietary about them. They use cable that comes off the shelf for it's industry standard stuff, and you just buy a spool of it and you just put the damn connectors on it. And it's usually those cables that have all the Furitech and all the wicked, connectors on there. They're there for a reason, okay? It's to entice you to buy the product. The most kick-ass cables in the world can use hospital industrial grade stuff, brass, and if your stuff is good enough, you can use it, okay? We begrudgingly use Furitech because we know people judge our cables based on the connectors, so we do it to appease the customers. But in reality, I could put a damn hardware store plug on my thing and it would still kick ass over other cables, okay? Because I know a lot more than I did when I started. Okay, so nonetheless, so that was the next thing was you expand the cable line a little bit, and then at one point I decided I was like, this is my story. Am I giving you like my bio right now? I think so. I think you're getting the whole story. So I mean, pull up a chair and grab some coffee or something like that because here comes Mikey's story. So next, I guess, big kind of thing was I decided to call Mark Levinson. Okay, I'm like, what's the biggest damn name in this? What's the most elegant black tie stuff there is? Mark Levinson. I'm like, clearly that's the refined one. It's killer, and he's just got so many industry firsts, and this dude has got to be amazing. So I'm like, I'm calling this guy, and I'm gonna ask him, dude, how the hell did you do what you did, man? Like this industry seems kind of like I don't get it. Like how did you do that, man? And shit, help me out, man. Give me some pointers or something. I'll pay you to mentor me, dude, and whatever. And so I called up the company. His company at that time was Red Rose, and he freaking answered the goddamn phone, man. I was like, I was not even close to expecting that the guy was going to answer the phone. He answered the phone, and I was like, oh shit, I got to think quick. I got to do pitch quick, So I just ended up talking to him, man, just like I talking to you guys, and I told him what I was doing. I told him my story a little bit, like, hey, I'm just like, I'm starting out in the biz, and I just want to know the ropes, man. Tell me how did you do what you did, man? What's the deal? Make a long story short, we talked for like an hour. At the end of our conversation, he was inviting me up to New York City to meet with him to show me a project he was working on with LG Electronics. He was going to do something big, and so I did. I went up to New York. I had a buddy that lived up there too in Manhattan, and I hung out with Mark for a weekend. Got to know him, and he was a good guy, man. He's a good guy, and I liked him, and he, the persona that you see in person, I don't know if you ever seen him like in public, and sometimes he comes across as arrogant and cocky. It's because he's one of those people that is like, it's like a performer, like a somebody who's a star or something like that, or very intelligent, or like an artist. It's like an artist. I think that's the best way to put it. It's like an artist. They kind of just like say it how it is, man. And if they're feeling perturbed, they're going to come across with a perturbed. They're going to come out with it. They're just going to say how they feel, and it, it's not very polite sometimes. But the man has got a great big heart, and he's really a kind individual. And I'm glad I met him. And I learned a lot from him. I over the next 5-6 years, we just hanging out with him. He hired me, man, as part of his team of experts, and I'm like the marketing expert to frickin' LG. It's like, okay, dude, whatever, I'll roll with it. I'm pretty willing to roll with whatever, bro. And hey, I'm up for high adventure, and I'm not afraid. So let's do it. So I went to Korea, man. I got like flown there business class, just pimping like the total the whole way, man. It was like the food and the dinners and all the stuff was just like corporate high executive level. And I was like, damn, okay, so this is pretty cool, man. I could dig on sucking the corporate teat like this, you know. I mean, damn, nurse me, you know. So it was pretty nice, you know. It was pretty plush, and I don't like corporate though. You know, I'm not a corporate guy at all, dude. I'm a black sheep. You know, I'm just like I fly by the seat of my pants, and I do it how I feel like I want to do it, man. No matter what, and it's just corporate does not like that. You know, you got to be a good little be in your spot and do your job, and don't do anything other than that, and shut the hell up and just do it, you know. So I can't stand that kind of thing. I don't work well with that. I get fired. I get fired. So anyways, so did that. That was fun, man. I went twice to Korea with Mark as part of his team. We went to the factories and saw this stuff and how they make the stuff over there. It's just incredible. It's like little cities they have with the people sleep there and eat there, and they don't even leave the premises. It's like all set up so they can completely work their life away, and it's intense, man. They're just stoked to do it, I guess, because I guess the alternative is even worse. So nonetheless, so that was kind of cool. You know, checked it out. Korea's a beautiful place, man. The food is phenomenal. And I had a lot of fun when I was there. I met a guy named Simon Lee. Simon owns Stello, which was a company. He sold it, but it was April Music and Stello, and we became buddies, you know. And then so, you know, Mark went off, and the thing in back in the 2008 when the economy tanked, you know, they shelved the product. You know, they're like, we're sticking to cell phones, you know, where there's like billions of dollars, not your stupid hi-fi crap where there's like maybe a couple mil a year or whatever, you know. So so they shelved it, and it was over. And then so Mark went off to do whatever. Actually, he consulted with them for a while, and then and he was able to pull it out, but he was no more, you know, flying around the quote unquote team of experts, you know, living high off the hog. But and so I ended up yeah, as a friend of Simon Lee, and I ended up going to shows with Simon and exhibiting at CES each year. So Simon would get the biggest rooms in the Venetian. You know, he would be up at the top. That means, you know, top floor level at any show. That's where the big dogs eat, you know. And so all the biggest companies are there. We're across from, oh man, you know, just the big dogs, you know. I don't need to go through all the names, but and so having my product up there with all those excellent brands and all the stuff that we would have, just, oh man, we had Martin speakers, we had the Wilson one year, we had it just all the big, you know, names that are popular. So people would come through, and CES was the bomb, man. I mean, that is where you made some money. It's not like these Rocky Mountains and crap like that. These things are all just social scenes. It's not where you go get foreign buyers like CES was. I'd go to CES each year, and I'd come back. First of all, I'd sell everything that I had. I'd come with this suitcase full of cables, and I'd sell them cash while I was there, and I'd leave with a grip, you know, like that's great, man. It paid for the whole trip and all that kind of stuff. These Rocky Mountain Exponent stuff, we go blow our cash as exhibitors. We bring our kick-ass rig to the show so you guys can come and enjoy it and push us around and tell us what to frickin' play for you guys. It's like, dude, come on, man, this blows, you know. So get me back to CES where I can find some foreign buyers and set up dealers overseas, you know. So anyways, I go to the shows anyways because it's still fun. I just don't take it that serious. And so nonetheless, I'll be at Expona this year. You'll see me in a couple weeks, you know. And I'll talk to you guys then. I'll be on the 14th floor again, up top floor, but this year with Pure Audio Project and some other friends that I've met. But okay, so worked with Simon, and you know, the next thing leads to another, dude. You know, it's just like you know, I do honest business, man. I do straight business. I want to continue to do business. I want to build a client base. You know, it's like, why would I hustle anybody? Why would I not bend over backwards? Why would I be arrogant or cocky or whatever? It's just, I mean, I'm arrogant with other people in the business, of course, but not with my clients, you know? So, I mean, it's like, I'm the front guy for you guys. It's like the clients, are like behind me, and I'll walk out front and I'll be in people's face because you guys are you get back here, man, and let me get out in front and butt heads with other people here because we're gonna hammer out and get what we want to get done and not take any malarkey from anybody, you know. Because there's tons of it, man. And there's people out there that are just bullies. You know, you look in the biz and there's these guys that are so cocky and confident and walk around like they're so macho and whatever. And they're just, you know, they're really like narcissist, like freaks. I'm not afraid of them. You know, I'm not afraid of that, man. I'll go out toe to toe with anybody, whatever. It's like, let's do our, you know, let's compare products. Let's do it blind testing, you know, good luck with that. Anyway, so that's kind of who I am. Okay, so what else? Okay, so, oh yeah, in the interim, man, I bought an amplifier. Okay, so I told you the story about the guy from Cinepro. Okay, so I became a Cinepro owner, and then so I like the brand and all that kind of stuff. Well, what happens, man? Like 4 years after I buy my Cinepro, the frickin' or no, even sooner than that, the owner of Cinepro fucking he dies. He just keels over. He had a heart transplant, man, or a valve transplant they were doing in his heart, and it did not take, man. And the poor guy died right there on the emergency table, and he did not have anything set up. He did not have. It was intestate. He did not have any will, anything. And I learned from that, man. Don't get a will. You know, if you've got family, man, get your ass a will. You can do it simply, all that kind of stuff. Because if you have anything that you want to give to your kids, or they just people. It's like it can screw up the family big time if you don't have that in place. So I saw it happen right in front of my face. So naturally I said, hey, you know, what can I do? What can I do? Actually, how did this work? Because the company that made Cinepro was called AB Amps, and they were out of California. Man, it was a kick-ass company. So AB International was a company that was like, it was just like Crown or Crest. They were all at the same time in the same place together. Crown and Crest obviously took off like way harder and better. AB stayed kind of small and cottage the whole time. They never really got super huge, but Frank Zappa used AB amps, and we got a killer. I've got a picture of Frank holding like a tour jacket, like a satin tour jacket that said AB amps on the back, and Frank's like sitting there holding it in his hands. It was pretty killer. And there's Pixar uses AB amps, and what's his name? The guy, George Lucas, used all AB amps in Skywalker Sound and all that kind of stuff. So they're in some killer installs. There's a killer amp. Eric Abraham was the guy's name who owned Cinepro, who passed away. So I went, I already knew where he was getting the amps from, and I started to ask about Virastar amps. So I was buying from AB amps, and having them make my Virastar amp that I was telling them, like, here's what I want you to do. And it started with the Cinepro, their top of the line. I said, take the Cinepro top of the line and make it better. You know, I want to have a better input section. I want to have it louder, put more, make it more, make it go to 11. So they did, and it was a kick-ass amp called the SSA 644, 64, and then 644. You still might find them around. 2,400 watts, 6 channels, gnarly Class AB amp, just killer, man. A really good one too. It was a great to show up with those. People loved them, and they collect them. You hardly see them around. There wasn't that many made, but people covet those things and grab them right away. So and then they came up for sale. That the amp company did, and I was like, ooh, and I think I might do that. So I ended up negotiating with these guys and buying the company, but man, I did not know what the hell I was getting into. I'll tell you that much. I brought my dad along with, and I was like, because he owned businesses, like in the financial industry, like doing bonds and shit. He's a financial guy, and I thought, come on, man, like help me out. Like let's come along, Pop, and tell me if this is going to be a good business. Well, turns out, he might know like how to buy stocks and bonds or something like that. But I don't think doing diligence on a company and finding out how the paper is there was one of his fortes. And I'm not blaming it, but it was like it didn't work. I mean, we bought a company that was just like losing money, like big time. And so I got my ass whooped for like 3 years running that business, and it was crazy, man. But I got a schooling, I'll tell you that much. This is not stuff you can learn in school. This is the school of hard knocks, and you get your ass kicked, but you learn how to survive. And it was California, Northern California, and this is, dude, this is up in the area where these guys all know each other, man. In like Rockland and stuff, up by Sacramento, it's like Nelson Pass is up there. He worked with the guys that I bought the company from. I talked to Nelson not too long ago. He knew both Bob and George, the guys that own the company, and it's crazy. They all kind of know each other there. Doug Dale is with Coda. He knew AB and told me a story about how I got all the. I don't think I owned it at the time, but maybe he's like, oh, your company got all my output devices. I went to order and they were sold out because they sold them to AB amps. He was like still pissed or something. And we kind of had a good chuckle about it, but whatever. So I took an ass whooping in Northern California. I had this company and I was trying to. I thought, well, shit, I can do anything, man. I'm still young and cocky, and like I can run a damn business and do administration and all this other crap. Are you kidding me, man? No way. That's like the worst thing. You get a little older and you realize, hey, there's certain shit I can't do. And administration is not something I like or want to do at all. Sales and product development, man. Product design and development is my favorite. And then selling is just talking to people. It's just like I go and talk to people and tell them about my stuff and do a demo and they love it. Cool. I mean, it's that. But nevertheless, so I ran an amplifier company. I bought this amplifier company, ran it for 3 years. Learned out how to get my ass whooped in Northern California, paying through the nose for taxes and all this crap and paying people. And I had a forklift and a whole warehouse full of all this little crap. And it sucked, man, because I had to like throw it all out, and it's all the stuff that looks so valuable. You're looking at it and it's like PC boards loaded with stuff, and you're like, dude, that's got to have some value. And they're like, nope, throw it out, man. It's just junk. And you're like, no, man, I can't. It was hard, but nonetheless, so that gave me some experience too with manufacturing. Okay, I really learned a lot owning that company because I had to learn from the guys. I just watched them, man. I just went in behind my engineers and I sat there and watched them. I just sit there at the bench with their ass and they're building the shit and putting it and fixing it. And I'm watching them and just watching how the whole thing goes down. And I'm looking at it and I'm asking questions, every question I had. It was like my job was to ask your ass questions because I'm learning. I'm like, at the very least, I'm going to get myself an education here. So I learned a lot about manufacturing. That's how when I look at these items and I tell you about this looks like this and this is about this, and then it's coming from experience. I'm not just guessing, okay? I had to buy those damn PC boards. I had to pay people to stuff them. I had to throw them out, and throw them in the garbage. And when I thought they were worth something, and so I got a lot of experience. So and then and I've hired a lot of companies to make stuff for me. You saw the tube buffer stage that I showed you, different things like that. Those are things that I hire. I know a lot of people, man. I can hire out some pretty kick-ass engineers to make things for me if I want to sell them. And I love to do that, to come up with concepts and then go to guys that are smarter than I am, that know how to really put the pencil to paper and make these circuits work. It's a lot of fun. There's nothing more fun for me than creating something from the mind that is a concept and then it turns into a tangible product and you have it like a certain amount of time later. That is like magic. It's like I'm performing magic. How did I just make it go from my damn head into my hand? That is magic, my friend. I mean, it's cool. So I love to do stuff like that. That's like my prime area of operation is creation, and so nonetheless, that's kind of like that's a little bit more. Let's see if there's anything I'm missing. Um, um, no, AB. I mean, I think Yeah. So, I mean, I was in a recording studio for a while. I worked in a recording studio. I was in Los Angeles. I roadied for a band. So I've got some, experience on the live end of things. Like, just that wasn't anything that really relates to what I do now. But working in the studio is kind of cool because it's a whole different mindset. The pro audio is totally different mindset and they're different parameters, man. They want stuff that's not going to break and that is just going to be that is not going to break. That's really the bottom line. It's got to be reliable. That's the number one thing with pro reliability. And then with us, it's like it's any guess, man. It's like, reliability probably isn't at the top of the list. It's probably more like how crazy and whacked out exotic can it be? So that's my kind of background. That's sort of like my story or whatever, my background about who I am and why I'm here. I'm here because I'm sick and tired of the BS that goes on. And I've got some things I want to teach you guys. It's like I've got things to say and I want ears to hear them. And so I don't know. People kept suggesting, go on to YouTube, go on to YouTube. You do so much cool stuff. Why don't you just tape what you do? And on a daily basis, people are going to dig it. And I'm like, no way, man. It's total geeky stuff, man. I'm in here like a squirrel and nobody else is going to want to watch the squirrel jump around the cage, but I guess they do. So it's cool, man. So I don't mind sharing with you guys. And I just want to teach people a little bit about because I know it's so our industry is about keeping your ass in the dark, man, so that we can keep selling you stuff year in, year out, year in, year out. This just regurgitating product on you. And really that's not there. There's not much love in that, man. It's like, I'm here for a higher purpose, and yeah, it's weird and it's silly and it's whatever. But to me, I'm telling you what, the audio system to me makes my world totally a better place. Okay. So it can like improve it's healing for me. Okay. I can be bummed out or just whatever, or just in a bad mood. I can sit in my rig and it will relax me and chill me and everything's all right in the world. It's like calms me down and it's really awesome. And I've seen that happen with other people that I bring here and have them sit down. We sit down with friends and sit in the rig and man, people just, they love it. So I'm about reproducing that and like as many times as I can in as many people's life as I can, because I feel that the more I do that, the world becomes a better place, and I think all of us at one point or another, when we get to a certain age, we really want to start giving back. We want to start doing something that makes us feel useful and like we're giving back, like everything is right in the world because I am doing something that is benefiting mankind, And I honestly think that by creating audio systems that recreate music on a level where you can feel the emotion and you get the same emotion and you can share that with the artist, I think that is pretty special, pretty unique. And I think that environment is an environment that promotes compassion and love and understanding and ultimately unity. Okay. And so there's a higher thing here, man, than just jamming tunes and making cash. Okay, it's not that for me. It's not that for me. It's more of a spiritual thing for me, totally. And I want others to enjoy that. And I've got a particularly big job to do with the younger generation. My young bloods, I call them, my bros, my little bros. My little bros, I got to teach you guys what's going on so you don't get hustled and so that you can enjoy this stuff for your life. I want you to have good stuff. No one's going to teach you. There's just not many people that are going to teach you unless you find some guy that is just crazy about it like me that wants to teach the young and coming ups so that you guys just sort of know the ropes, man, so that when you start making some cash, you can go you can expand your rig because the better the rig gets, the better the experience is, and you can do some pretty kick-ass rigs for cheap. And I'm about ready to start the next session. The next thing I'm going to do, I've got it right in front of me. I'm looking at it right over there. It's that $500. Remember that $500 Goldman clone that I bought? Well, I got it sitting over there on top of the Vermeer. Yeah, I know the Vermeer is a $23,000 DAC and pre and all that crap, but I just want you to hear a $500 amp, because this is going to show you how good the $500 amp is, because it's going to reveal everything. It's going to extract every single little thing out of that amp and tell us about it. So I'll do a video on that, and then I'm just gonna go cheaper. I'm not less expensive, okay? Not cheap. I'm gonna go more less expensive. I'm gonna try and bring it down to the bottom. I've got a where'd it go? Oh, it's in my office. And a US bridge allo stuff. If you know what ARM boards are, they're like the little Raspberry Pis and stuff like that. We're gonna put together. I've got a DAC. It fits like in this stack like this high, and it's a DAC and a streamer. Okay, and I'm gonna compare. First thing I'll do is I'll compare the $169 streamer that I got from Allo, and I'll compare it to the $1,200 Metrum Acoustics, and let's see if how much of a difference it makes when we put it into a $23,000 DAC, because that's going to extract everything. That's going to tell us the real truth about what these things sound like, and then ultimately I'll take that DAC out of there. I'll put it with the baby stack Raspberry Pi thing, and let's see what I think it's like a $300, maybe $289 DAC streamer does compared to a $23,000 DAC streamer, and we'll get that out of there. And then let's just get some reference points. I want to get some reference points so y'all can see, here's the difference between, because it's not all bullshit, man. That's another part about what I'm doing here too, is to teach you the value and how to value hi-fi, because I'm a proponent of it, man. I support hi-fi big time. That means I support the $26,000, $23,000 things, because there are some of them that are made that are worth it. You're not going to find anything like a damn Jeff Rowland amp. I don't care where you look. You will not find anything like a Jeff Rowland amp, period. Look at the damn insides. I've shown you the insides. There's nothing like it, man. Nobody ever wanted to take AB as far as Jeff did. Jeff took it to a completely different level. That any amp that you see that has milled heat sinks in it are copying Jeff. Jeff started that way back when. He's got a lot of firsts. He started a lot of things. The guy's an innovator. I love innovators, okay? I don't buy hi-fi, by the way. Another thing too, I don't know if you know this or not, I don't buy hi-fi that I can't talk to the designer. It doesn't matter, like Macintosh or whatever. Hell no, I'm not buying that crap. Maybe the older stuff when it was good, but nowadays, what? You're just buying a name, man. It's corporate owned. There's no soul in it. It's like just Drek that's being peddled, It's old tech. Yeah, maybe they got Bluetooth or something on it, but dude, I mean, the rubber hits the road when you're going in, you're talking to the man with the vision, the man who with the passion and the vision, and you're talking to him, and he's the guy building the stuff, and he still turns the key every day, unlocks the shop, and he goes in there. That's who I'm buying hi-fi from, because that's handcrafted with love and just heart, man. Not this as a business experiment, business idea. Get dividends for the freaking shareholders. Give me a break, dude. That's their goal. Corporate environment. Their goal is dividends for the shareholders, profit. If that CEO does not make profit that next quarter, he's fired. He needs to make profit plus, continually in a non-stopping way. Do you understand that? That means they need to figure out how the hell do we make more profit this next quarter? Because if we don't, I'm axed. So that means they come up with all sorts of crap to make profit. So yeah, that's the real bit. I want to be in the profit business, whatever, dude, enjoy your freaking gold bricks as you sink. So, anyways, that's my little rant. So anyways, okay. So higher purpose here. All right. Higher purpose than money. Okay. That's all I got to tell you that. So, and just listen to me when I tell you that some of the hi-fi, it's worth the money. Okay. It is, because the experience is commensurate with the cash. That's where you get people talk about diminishing returns. Oh, you're in diminishing returns. I'm like, hell yeah, that's exactly where I want to be. Right smack dab in the middle. Shit, I want to be at the top of diminishing returns, where the smallest gains are gotten. You know why? Because that's the rarefied air. That is where the stuff is the best. That is where you can't get any better. And if you get a little teeny nudge better, it's like huge. It's like, oh my God, it got better, because it peters out. After a while, you make it better, you make it better, you make it better. Dude, we can do this for years. I've been doing it for 10 years. I've been making my stuff better, and it keeps getting better. And you don't think it, you're like, how does it keep getting better? You can relate. I mean, I know there's audiophiles that are listening to this right now. You can relate to me. I know you can. You think you're at the top. You're like, there's no way it can get any better. And it does. And you're like, damn it. It did it again. And now I got to spend more money. But you're kind of happy. You're kind of bummed, but you're kind of happy at the same time, because you're like, it went higher. So that's the neuroses that we go through. But it's, hey, if it's not hi-fi, and I say this again and again, if it's not hi-fi, it'll be a damn watch. You're going to spend 35 grand on a watch, 6, 10, 12, 15 grand on a watch? I can't fathom that. I talked to some young blood the other day, 10 grand on his damn wheels for his car. What? Are you kidding me, bro? What are you going to, okay, but it gives him experience. Okay, I get it. Driving experience, it's an experience. I'm an experiential guy. I like experience, but I like music better than I like, taking a corner, so nonetheless, I'll teach you how that there are things that are worth it, man. And I'm going to teach you how to decipher, how to determine, how to look at a piece of gear and size it up, how to look at the company that's putting it up there and listen to the rhetoric and listen to it, man, because they all give it away. Everybody tells you what they're really all about. You just need to listen and be aware of the words they're saying and be very, very, take it to the nth degree. Every little word they say means something. It's always important. So listen to every little word they say and you will find the story because it comes out. They don't even know what they're saying. They're just babbling. But you're like, oh, okay, you're right. Yeah, okay. You get the picture. Okay, so I'll teach you how to size up a company. I'll teach you how to size up a product. I'll teach you how to know to put your money in the right place for the hi-fi experience, for the real one, okay? I own the companies, man. I know the tricks. I know how to cut corners. I know how not to cut corners. I know what's expensive. I know what's not. I'll teach you guys, okay? And ultimately, the idea, ultimately, it's like, we'll make our own little group. We'll make a group of enthusiasts that give a shit, okay? People that care about one another. We're not gonna be hustling one another. We're gonna be sharing our discount, man. I'm gonna be sharing my damn dealer break with you. I'm not gonna be trying to squeeze it out of you. Because you're my friends. I meet my clients. I become friends with them. They say, "Oh, don't mix business and pleasure." Whatever, dude. I don't follow the rules. If that's the rule, forget it. I'm gonna be friends with the people I sell to because you know what? It's way more enjoyable, man. I got friends everywhere, every country. I get invited every freaking country. I could go anywhere and have people that are friends and hang out, dude. And that is so much more valuable than a freaking gold bricks that are going to sync with, So it's like, so I don't know. That's a little bit more about me, a little bit more about who's the real Mikey, and what I do and what my background is. So a little bit more about my cred. I'm not just some yahoo spouting off at the mouth. I've actually taken my licking and I've had my beatings and I've been through the industry, and I pay attention, because I had to learn. I'm self-taught. I had to sit and watch everything, I sit and watch everything. Everything I learned is self-taught, Did not go to school for this. I never went to college, man. I barely got my GED, man. One of those freaks, So, hey, I guess it's fate. Here I am. I'm here to teach people and to put the brakes on this whole whatever the hell's going on with hi-fi, man, because don't do that shit to my music, man. This is my music. This is my territory, man. Music is my territory. And if you don't be hustling people with music as behind it, Don't be doing that around music, man. You're pissing on music, man. I don't like it. And so that's what makes me angry. Is people are using music to gain over others and to manipulate and shit like that. And music is at the root of it. Music is too sacred of a thing for you to do that around, man. So I will fight. To me, it's a fight, bro. It's like I'm going out and I'm kicking ass. I'm standing for something. I'm making a stand. Yeah, people don't like me. Yeah, I rub fur the wrong way because you know what? I say what I feel and I stand for something that's more than just corporate make money bullshit, and corporation doesn't like that. Unfortunately, corporate runs the whole freaking game. So it's not very popular rhetoric that I have going here. Okay. But anyways, okay. So I got to get going, but you know what? It's good to get a little more intimate with you guys and get to tell you a little bit more about me. So you know who Mikey is. And, I'll tell you every now and then I'll do a little more of this, show my face, talk to you guys, and I could do stories. I can tell you, I got some great stories of stuff that's happened in this in surrounding the industry and so forth, and even the stuff. I got even better stories from when I was a roadie and friggin' Hollywood on Sunset Strip. Oh my God. Oh boy. Oh boy. I don't know, man. So, anyways, that's I wanted to give you a little insight into who I am. This is OCD Mikey, signing out now, and I'll be back. So don't go changing. See ya.